Got my coffee and today's guest here with me, so we're ready to roll. Welcome to our Circular Coffee Break podcast, where we will be casually talking about everything circular and beyond. Now, I've said it many times, when we started the podcast, we never thought that we would be able to build such a great community of people listening to the podcast, people joining our podcast to talk about circularity and sustainability from very many different perspectives. At the same time, we're always looking to get your thoughts, ideas, and feedback and to hear from you. What did you like specifically? What could we do differently going forward, specifically as we're about to enter season 2 very, very soon. We're looking at all of the things we could improve for you listening to the podcast out there. So if you have anything, give us a comment on your favorite podcasting platform or drop us a note at circularcoffeebreak@gmail.com so that we can take your thoughts and ideas into consideration. Cool, let's get started. My guest today has more than 13 years experience in the world of sports. During this time, he has held different roles around marketing, sponsorship, and product management in organizations such as SC24.com, Sportfive, and Lagarde Sports. And I'm sure I pronounced that wrongly, so I'll ask later how to pronounce it properly. Since 2012, he's with Sportfive under basically different company names. Sportfive is a global sports business agency that creates innovative, engaging solutions for athletes, partners, and fans alike. For close to 3 years, he has been focused on driving sustainability in sports, and he's today the Senior Director of Sustainability at Sportfive Germany in Hamburg. Really looking forward to talk about sustainability and circularity in sports today. Welcome to the show, Max Sorst.
Hello, thanks for having me, Michael. And let's get started. And just two things, because you name it, it's Lagardère Sports. It's French, so it's of course difficult.
Yes, and I was sure I would butcher the name, so apologies.
No
for
problem,
that.
you're not the first one. I'm used to it. And now it's an old company and old name, so I don't care that much. Thanks.
Good. Very good. Now, before we start, I just want to mention you also have your own podcast, Playbook, the Sports Business podcast, which I'm following, where there's a lot of really interesting topics that you're discussing. It's in German, and I think you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other podcasting platforms. So I encourage everyone to listen in to that podcast as well. I got some really interesting perspectives from that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we started beginning of this year, and now there's 3 episodes with different kind of people talking about sustainability, social, ecologic, and economic in sports.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And sustainability feels like a relatively new topic in sports, and not everybody seems to be on board yet with the topic. So to get us started, could you give us your perspective on the development over the past years and where we are today when it comes to sustainability? And you mentioned the different aspects of sustainability in sports.
Of course, it's a pleasure. Yeah, the development is getting better and better, I guess. We are still really at the beginning if you compare to other industry sectors. We are way behind because they got started couple of years ago or decades because of mostly of laws and restrictions in the European Union. But the sport business started a couple of years ago and it's getting better and better. But like I said, we're at the beginning. I think you have players, they really push the topic from different kind of sports. But if they are in the position to push it, it's always or mostly because of the decision makers, I think. If you have a decision maker or CEO or how you name it, who is in charge, who takes care about the topic sustainability, just not only because of an intrinsic motivation, but because maybe he or she understood how important sustainability is not only for social or ecologic ways, even and especially in future for economic ways. So then you really push it because you think as an owner, as a decision maker and entrepreneur, and then you want to be you're looking to the future and you want to be there in the future with your company and your brand. So I think that's really important. And so I don't have that much patience, so I always push, and I think that development can always be faster, but I'm pretty sure that we are on the right way, and we need to stay hard and straight to even push every day and every minute the development of the sports business and sustainability.
Interesting. And I recently read, I'm not sure if it was a study or an article, how important sports is in a community, how important a stadium is, a sports facility, a sports club, or also the grassroots sports is in various contexts of sustainability. So I think it is a very important topic that also societal drives the topic forward. If you see your favorite club all of a sudden look at the topic of sustainability, of circularity, taking it serious, it's naturally something that resonates with fans, but also with the wider community in that context.
Yeah, I think, of course, you as a fan are always really close to your club. And if for you as a person, sustainability is an important topic. Of course, you check out what is you doing, your favorite club, your favorite player, and so on. But even like in society, we do have people, they don't care that much about sustainability, or it's not an important topic, or if they hear about sustainability, they think, oh, I'm not allowed to do this and that, and close their eyes or ears. So I think it's always really important not to say you have to do it like this or that you try to give the people and fans an idea what will be the future way and what are kind of alternatives today and what kind of little changes and little steps or mindset changes everybody can do. And right now, maybe in sports, we are in a position where they can decide, or where you as a fan can decide, I want to do it or not. I'm pretty sure that in future, you're not able to choose that much. But until then, it's important to get back to a positive negotiation or positive impact of the word sustainability. Because I think it's, I don't know what is the reason, or what means, I don't know. The reason is, of course, politics and media. But the word sustainability is for a lot of people like pressure, and somebody wants to take my normal life and I have to change my lifestyle and I have to change this and that it is for sure, but we have to bring the people on the side that they see, okay, it's an alternative, it's a positive alternative, and I can influence my future and the future of my kids, of human beings. So I think that's really important to see, and for that to use the clubs, association, foundation, players, athletes as ambassadors for positive impact and a positive public meaning.
No, absolutely, and I think you're spot on with the fact that sustainability, circularity very often has a negative connotation to it, depending on who you talk with, and to be able to give it a positive twist, give it a positive positioning, naturally goes a very long way in that context.
Just a second. Yeah, I think it's so important just because we do have this discussion in society and with friends, with family, with everybody about this topic. And so, yeah, it's always, I think, this important way to give it this positive thing and not with like the English word for erhobenen Zeigefinger, not with that finger pointing, not with finger pointing saying, put too much pressure, because then the people or like the common man or woman is closing ears and eyes. So just to give them a helping hand to show them the evolution and the development.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's always, if you use the carrot and stick model and you forget about the carrot, it doesn't work. That's not how we humans are programmed. That we react to that in a very favorable manner, at least. No, I agree. Now, in sports, game day is very visible, a very visible part to fans, to the broader public. But the operations of a club, of athletes naturally goes much further, goes way beyond that. What are some of the areas that you've been working with when it comes to sustainability and more specifically circularity in sports? So what are the key focus points you've seen clubs and sports as a whole take in this topic?
Um, Maybe, I don't know, at the beginning to give an example for my opinion what is circularity in sports, because maybe people, even if the name of the podcast is with circularity, maybe some people don't know what it means. I think in sports, or especially in stadiums, and on match days, it's focused on the waste management. So try to take those famous 3 R's, to say, okay, first reuse, recycle, and then it's kind of a circularity, that you have a circle, that there's no waste produced what needs to get burned or what's getting outside the stadium, outside the match day, that you try to take all kind of waste inside the stadium and reduce it. First reduce it, then reuse it, or recycle it, and keep it in a circle, that you don't produce waste. That's, in my opinion, kind of trying to explain circularity during a match day to the listeners. And what are the most important things is then, of course, because it's really visual, the waste topic for circularity. If you check a footprint of a match day, it's just like couple of percent, what means waste to the footprint, and mobility is with mostly 70%, the big part and the most crazy part. But you have to see it that waste, all the people see the waste topic always, and they need to reduce it. You have to think about what kind of cups, reusable cups, reusable things for the food stuff, that I was thinking to give the people, like in my, not childhood, but in my younger years, when I went to a festival, at the entrance you get, like, for $5 you got a big plastic bag, and if you collect your rubbish and bring them back, if you leave, you get your $5 back. Nowadays, maybe maybe it will work. I never know. Of course, at that time, the people use the plastic bag as rain cover or something like that. But I think we need to give hints to the people, to the spectators, and to a lot of thing, or a big thing we have to do is education, to show them how important is it, and to just show them how to act. I think a lot of people don't act in the right way, in my opinion, because they don't know how. How they have to know, just like from themselves. So we have to give them hints, we have to give them advices, help, so that they see what little steps everybody can do to do it better. Because of a lot of times I hear, oh no, what does it change if I do anything? We have 8 billion people, and China and India and blah, blah, blah. But still, our footprint is bigger than from one Chinese or one Indian person, way bigger. It's like a false media information again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as well, in just for example, in China, if they decide, okay, we have to do solar energy or e-mobility or things like that, they're just doing it. And in Germany, it's always a big discussion with politics and economics and media and all that things. And so we're falling back and back. So I think everybody has to do something, and then circularity during a match day, for especially focused on waste management, is a possibility to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very recently at a sporting event here in Finland, and what I noticed was that when in the break we got some food and some drinks, it was all one way packaging. It was not plastic. It was paper, but still it was one way plastic. So I contacted the facility owner, and she said, like, yeah, we've been looking into that, but it's actually up to the restaurants to do that. So there's always a lot of different stakeholders that are involved and that need to be aligned in that context. A stadium is a huge facility very often, so you have even more stakeholders, changing stakeholders continuously. How could you give us a couple of concrete projects that you've been working on, and how you typically approach a project, and how do you look at these topics, these different stakeholders, and bring them on the same page?
Of course, good question. Thanks. Projects or cases or examples are always better to understand it and see it, even especially if you talk in a podcast. Like one topic is, I think the water topic is really big. Just to make it clear at the beginning, we're talking a lot about the ecologic topic. For me, sustainability has, of course, three pillars: ecologic, economic, and social.
Yeah.
But the main focus in media and is of course the ecologic topic, but it all belongs together. If you do
Yes.
good or better in ecologic, it has the direct impact to social or economic sustainability. So later on, maybe I will talk some examples for social and economics. But if we stay with ecologic, because there's the biggest thing to do in sports is water, for example. We do have a company, it's called Xylem, a really big US company, I don't know, with billions of money making per year, and they are a big partner of Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, and as well they are partner of Hannover 96, a smaller football club in Germany, but their European headquarters is in Hannover or nearby. So they are partner of the club, and they always, because they are in the water business, technology business, but they want to make or create awareness for the topic that water is a human right and water resources are getting less and less or lower and lower. So we created a video where you like kind of a future video what shows like Hannover in, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, where everything is dry. And Hannover is a city with a lot of water, with lakes, rivers, and so on. And that is all dry because the people didn't care. The people use water for gardening, for drinking. Like Germany has mostly one of the cleanest tap waters in the world, but is on top to buy water in bottles. So crazy it is, but it's just marketing. And if we save the water out of the bottles and not buying it to keep them or save them for people who really need it, and we just drink our tap water, everything is fine and we are not getting sick or dying. So it's just like an impact and an education way for partnership. They are using the platform sports and the club to make or create awareness for their topic. And their topic is water, and to educate the people to be more carefully how to use water. So that's an example for the water topic. Another good example is for energy. We had one. We're having a club in our portfolio, partner club, Bayer 04 or Bayer 04 Leverkusen, and
Yes.
yeah, I just said it in German. And for them, it was clearly they have to change all their lighting infrastructure to LED lamps. So I don't know the exact number, but it was hundreds of thousands of lamps during all the stadiums, training grounds, facilities, and so on. So they ask us, we need to buy it, or can you find a partner who can create a case with us and give us their product. So we were, my sales colleagues were looking for a partner, and we discovered Ledvance, a big lighting company. And now we created a case where Ledvance is changing all the lights, is partner of the club, is doing activation, sponsoring, and all the things. And they were really interested to use the sport as platform for communication, for creating a case, and be this kind of first mover to change things, to push the sport business in a more sustainable way. So that are kind of two examples. I hope the listeners have a idea how it works. But it's always, we are going for on one side we can start with the needs of the clubs. What do they need? And on the other side with the sustainability strategy of the partners. How they start and what they need.
Oh, very interesting. I really like the examples because they're very, very concrete in that context. And I think the topic of circularity of water will be a huge topic going forward, because water will be one of the most scarce resources we have on a planet basis. Here in Finland, we're actually in a very good position with our thousands of lakes and freshwater reservoirs. But really, really good examples. Now, you mentioned the social aspect, and the sustainability is much broader than the environmental side of things. Do you have similar examples on other areas of sustainability? Maybe also areas where you say we don't have the focus yet, but it would be important to get more focus on these areas in the future going forward?
Sure. Like you say, it's way broader, and everybody's talking about the environmental sustainability, but I think it's even important to talk about the other two pillars, because the people are kind of tired talking always about climate change, biodiversity, and so on. It's really important, no problem, but we have to, make it a little bit wider. So kind of why we're not focused in partners, or what means focus, but why I don't see the biggest need for social partnerships is because social is in sports DNA. Like sports is the thing. I was traveling all over the world, and if you talk about sports, if you do sports, you just connect culture, people, different kind of classes, everything. In sports, everything or everybody is the same, especially in team sports. Doesn't matter where you're from, what you're doing, how old you are, you're just like in one team and you're doing sports. So social is in the DNA, or social sustainability. But especially a lot of clubs have their projects with homeless people, kids clubs, school projects. So they are all already existing. But of course, you can make them more professional. You can use them to bring like kind of school of sustainability education to younger people, to bring more awareness for important topics like homeless people, like people struggling. And one social project I can give an example is we're doing it at Sportfive. We just had the second event this week. We created how's the English name? Movement campaign, I would say, where we started it in Berlin this year, and now we did it in Hamburg, where we looking for schools. And then we're going for one day to the school with the club from the city. Like in Berlin, we did it with Hertha Berlin. In Hamburg, we did it with the HSV, with the Hamburger SV. And so we're taking the club, and then we take kind of influencers with us. It's not my generation, but for the kids, the influencers are so big. So we're taking YouTube influencers with us.
Okay, cool.
And then we're going to the school for one day, doing a sports program. And the focus is to show them how important and good sports is for kids, especially during their growing up, and to bring them or take them back from their mobile phones and social media, because we invented it after the pandemic, because in Germany we have studies that during the pandemic the screen time from kids and teenagers doubled. So they use their mobile phones, TVs like double time a day. And so we think we have to do something, and that's kind of a social project.
Interesting. No, and I agree. I think social, and I mentioned it earlier, like the integration into the community and how important sports is in the community has been there for forever, specifically for the very traditional clubs. One thing that came to my mind when you were talking, I'm following a lot of US sports. And in the US, you see the role athletes or clubs play in the community very, very strongly. Also, in on TV, on different channels. You don't see that, I feel, that often in Europe. That clubs are really showing to the outside world what they're doing, or are really advertising with that. Is that, from your point of view, more a marketing thing, that the US clubs are better in telling the world what they're doing? I mean, they're very good in marketing, so I wouldn't be surprised. Or is it that they take a different perspective to that community, that social role that they have?
Interesting question. I think there are always like two sides of the medal. Of course, the US clubs and companies and so on are really good in marketing. And of course, marketing is working. And even in sustainability topics, marketing is working. Even you talk about sport washing, greenwashing, and so on. My opinion is, and that is what we did at Sportfive as well, we're working now on the topic 2.5 years. It's really not a long time, but the first 2 years I said, don't talk too much, just do. And after 2 years, if we create a basement, if we have credibility, and have an attitude and starting to creating impact, then we can talk, because then it's trustful. If you start to talk and then the people ask and we don't have answers, it's not my way of understanding. But of course, a lot of people don't ask. If they just see the big green campaigns, they think, oh, they're doing good stuff. But if you look behind the campaign, maybe it's not that good. So it's it's a difficult topic. I think, of course, it's good to do marketing or attention to the topic. But if I'm, for example, a big oil company and talking about how green I am and blah, 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 everybody who's just like kind of interesting in the world or in things like that, see that's just like kind of lying and not true. So it's always difficult. But I think, of course, German clubs, association, and we as well can learn to talk more about good things. If you do good, talk about it. It's just like an old rule in marketing. So I think that's a way where we can get better for sure. And on the other hand, you say if the US clubs are more in the society and in the fan base, or like if they're working more together. I'm not sure. I think, of course, in the US, sports is, even if football is in Germany huge, I think in the US, sports is more in the daily routine of the people. Sports is an event, and in Europe we're trying it for years or decades to create the event around the match or around the game. And the Europeans are not like the Americans. I think they're not going for 11 hours to a baseball game. They're not used to it, and there it's normal. So it's as well a difficult topic, but I think, of course, you have some clubs that are really into their community and really in the dialogue with the fans and clients. But of course, I think everybody can learn and get better to get more in touch, especially after the pandemic, where everybody kind of losing their social touch or touch points. So I think in both parts, there are good things, good clubs, good examples, but everybody can get better.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I fully agree. Now, the coffee is empty, and it's time to wrap up this episode of the Circular Coffee Break. Before we close, Max, I mean, let's look into the crystal ball. What are, from your point of view, the key future topics that we will see in sports around sustainability, naturally?
It's a pity that the coffee is empty so fast because like as you see, I can talk about it for years. But you're right. If I look in the future, I think the unfortunately two really important things, because, or what means unfortunately, but you have always the intrinsic motivated persons, they doing right and sometimes are not in the right position. So it's always up to decision makers. We do need decision makers who are interested in the topic. We do need more female decision makers. We do need even decision makers, they are not intrinsic motivated or interested, but they see the importance that sustainability is part of our future, and especially for business models. You won't be there in 5, or I'm pretty sure you won't be there. You won't get credits or invest from banks, private equity companies, what else, you name it. If you don't have a sustainability strategy, if you don't have sustainability goals, if you don't have a mindset in your organization that this is really important on an economic side, not just for recruiting, employer branding, or a footprint or a sustainability report, whatever, it's important to be there as a company. So I hope that the decision makers see that more and more in the future. If they want or don't want, but they have to see it if they are professional and take care about the business. And on the other hand, I think laws. It's just money and laws in our world, how it works. And in the European Union, the laws getting stricter and stricter. We have different kind of laws. Sustainability reporting is really getting really tight over the next years for a lot of companies. And we do have to get used to different kind of laws and processes. And I think laws, and then if you don't follow the laws, you get fined or fees. So unfortunately, that's the way, but fortunately, it will come as well. So I think that are the two pressure ways. And of course, I hope and think that our generation, even older generations, and especially the younger generation, build up so much pressure that the society and the industries have to move and have to react and have to change.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I think we're seeing that in the younger generation, that they are much more aware and much more driving these topics. Thanks, Max, for joining me today. Like you, I could talk for hours about the topic. I think it's a very interesting industry, and an industry where a lot is happening as we speak around sustainability, circularity, different aspects, and it basically has an effect on the broader community, the broader society, as it very often is an example that people look at in their weekend activities, but also throughout the week. Sports plays an important role. Thanks, Max, for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for having me. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Great, thanks. And so for all you listening out there, today was a little bit of a different perspective, sports as an industry. So we hope this was interesting for you and gave you a little bit of a different perspective, and maybe some ideas to do something with your local sports clubs or with the sports clubs you're a fan of. To basically make them more sustainable, make them more circular. If you like the podcast, you can help us out growing the Circular Coffee Break community by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you're downloading your podcast. Also, please remember to subscribe to stay in the loop on new episodes. I mentioned it at the top. That we're already planning the season 2 that will be coming to you in the beginning of next year. So make sure you stay in the loop. The only thing left for me to say is thanks for listening to us today, and see you all here at the Circular Coffee Break.